for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome. Patrick Johnson Show on this Tuesday before Thanksgiving, 94.3 The Game, and 94.3thegame.com online and on the IBX Media app. You can download that anywhere.
Hey now.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Do it live!
Live edition today. Okay. Well, so we're going to have Blake Harrell on in a little bit. Harrell Huddle. We'll do a top 5 at 5 a little later on as well. Because we will talk basketball today. It has amazed me this afternoon. I'm going to just go out on the limb here and say half a dozen calls from people, who want basketball to succeed. And probably not people that you would think if you were to guess. And they're very frustrated. I think everybody's frustrated. The thing, there was some takeaways from me today, Pilk, and I'd love to get your opinion on this as well. Philip the Ref Pilkington is here. First of all, it was just really great to turn on one of these events. And, it looked like a big-time environment. Sounded like the Fox production was great. I listened to some of Darren's broadcast at the beginning, and same thing. It sounded like a big-time environment. Almost sounded like a Michigan State road game, which it kind of was. Lansing South, there on the west coast of Florida. It's a beautiful place, by the way. Good for everybody that's on that trip. Good for them. I do think it was interesting that they elected not to start Corey Calker, yet he played the second most minutes. And I'm not going to say he looked great, but he looked better. You hit that off-balance three-point hit, and he actually had to hold his follow-through. And you know what happened when you hold your follow-through? You know what happens, Pilk?
It better go in.
It has a better shot of going in. He wasn't pulling the string.
Patrick, I want you to allude to something.
Outmatched today, Pilk. Outmanned, outmatched.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do want you to allude to something. It was something you brought up last year in the one game that RJ didn't start. And, Corey didn't start today, and I want you to talk about how your dad used to use that philosophy in some of his time coaching at Peace, especially with a point guard, to let them sit at the very beginning, even if they're going to play extended minutes, to allow the game to kind of come to the game. If you could elaborate a little more on that, I like that story.
So, there's times where, and if there's a specific instance, you have to jog my memory. But there are times where you sit a player to let them sort of see what's going on and let the game kind of come to them. It happens countless times. We've seen quarterbacks, they'll be taken out of series, and it gives them a chance to kind of sit back and look. There was a kid for Charleston Southern who missed last year with a hip injury. And he actually has come back better this year, according to his coach, than last season, because he had a full year, not only to recover and get healthy, that certainly helps anybody, but he had the luxury of kind of sitting back and, okay, this is what the coach is telling me. This is what the coaches are telling me. This is what coach means. I see it now. So, yeah, perspective always helps. It always helps. That's why people who study film at a high level do really, really well. That is a skill set. Studying film is a skill set. You can, ass off while you're watching it and, just it's on, you go through the motions. But I guarantee if somebody's really, really good, they watch because they could sit back and watch it all play out. Okay, this is where I need to be better. So, yeah, I think this was clearly, because Calker played the second most minutes today, this was clearly to take a little bit of heat off of him, a little pressure off of him. Just overmatched. And look, 24 times they coughed the pill up. This wasn't like Elizabeth City State. It was not a lackadaisical bunch of steals they gave up, leading to the 20-plus turnovers. I think there was like 17, 18 steals against Elizabeth City State of the 20 turnovers, but a lot of that was just carelessness with the ball. Today, the grown men were taking it away.
Well, Coach or Patrick, you got turnovers, right? And those turnovers can be divided into two categories. You got takeaways and you got giveaways. And I know we talk about those statistically as the same thing, but I think today there were a lot more takeaways from the Michigan State team than there were giveaways from the Pirate players.
Yeah, I know we've got some audio. Pilk, what do we got? I'll let you kind of set the table here because I don't have that list in front of me, which is fine.
Yeah, so we got a couple.
This is courtesy of the ECU Sports Network. Mike Swartz in the post game with Darren Vaught. I'll just let you set the table, Pilk. What do we got?
Yeah, so actually, great segue, Patrick, because we were talking about that, ruthless Michigan State defense after the game. Coach Swartz sat down with Darren Vaught, and Darren was just kind of like, "Hey, Coach, I know you're frustrated, but you got to be less frustrated because a lot of those takeaways were earned by the Spartans."
Guys, well, it's obviously a combination of both, and the reality is that's an elite defensive team, a national championship contending basketball team, and the difference is the length on the perimeter, the length in the gaps, the length in the strength, and that's what caused the majority of the turnovers. And we have to be stronger in a lot of areas, but that length on the wings, that length in the front court down, being able to collapse that paint as we knew they would, they're not going to space out and try and pressure. They're going to collapse, and that affected us.
Pirates made 6 threes, 40% from three-point territory, but struggled mightily from the field. Did get to the foul line 26 times. Just -4 on the backboards, which that's Michigan State. And that's where really Michigan State separated. For the first 10 minutes, ECU, for what it's worth, we're playing with them.
Oh, yeah.
Where it went sideways was when Michigan State started to bring the waves at them of, depth, talented depth, and started to assert themselves on the offensive glass. That's where the game started to get really separated, I thought, in the first half, and what wound up being a big deficit at halftime. And and look, credit Michigan State, too. Really didn't play with their food at all in the second half. They came out focused and ready to go. So, what else we got from Coach Swartz?
Yeah, we got one more here, and this was his message to the Pirate Nation. He knows, kind of addresses that it's been a little tough sledding here to start it out for the first 3 weeks or so, and this is Coach Swartz's message to the Pirate Nation to stay bought into this basketball program.
But in the end of the day, Darren, I'll share this with you and Pirate Nation. We're no doubt going through it right now. We're going through it as a ball club with injuries, with where we're at, and I would just ask Pirate Nation to stick with us. We're going to get this right. This is not a barometer of a possession-by-possession game with Michigan State on why. That's a national championship caliber team. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to be perfect, but we had to be pretty darn good to be in that game. In the first 10 minutes, it's a tie game, and we're battling, and you have to continue to withstand the waves of those guys coming. The size, the depth, the length, the strength. And you have to be able to withstand that. And probably where we are at our weakest, our Achilles heel right now, is we don't have that. And Pirate Nation knows why. We're down 2 senior captains. We're going through it right now. There's no doubt. But I would tell you, the grit, the buy-in, and the fight of this team is there, and we're going to fix it, and we're going to continue to work to fix it. And I just want Pirate Nation not to let up on these guys, because these guys are a great group of guys that have it. We're just going through it right now with injuries, which in sports is part of it. Yeah. And we become a team, instead of 4 seniors starting and 1 younger player, we're much younger than that now. And youth and lack of strength and size versus Michigan State is not a good combination.
I don't think it would have mattered if those guys were back today and healthy. And I don't mean that to be a disparaging comment. It would not have made a hill of beans of difference. Jay Woodard apparently went through practice yesterday, like the full practice, but they elected not to go with him today. Apparently he's healing and he's looking better. I almost wish he had not, tried to give it a go at Richmond. Gallant effort to try to do that. You respect the fact that he wanted to do that. Certainly, he could barely move. against Elizabeth City State. He comes off the cold bench, and they're throwing lobs to him for whatever reason.
What he logged, like 8 minutes that night? It wasn't like he went out there for 45 seconds.
He was not sharp, and he turned the ball over. In fact, he had the turnover that gave it to Elizabeth City State, where they had a chance to win the game. And I'm not picking on the guy, but to what end with those two games were you needed to have him log minutes? I get the fact he wanted to play. So let's back this up and just say that. There's some validity to that, but the injuries are part of it. A lot of guys are having minutes increase. I mean, Tybo Bailey, fearless player, at least goes out and makes a run at it. Might not be the most talented guy. Definitely not the most talented guy, but he's one of the more fearless guys on the roster for sure, and that's how the coaches and other people have described him, and I would agree with that assessment. So my thinking here is, because there were a couple guys nicked up. Imbang was one of them, if I recall, and I'm not mistaken. And then I think Riley was a little
both those two
knocked around.
They came back in, they did, but you're right, they missed some time due to not the natural rotation.
Right. How much of that is adrenaline and in the moment? So I mean, let's hope that they will return and that they will be in a position. Where they'll be healthy enough to go on Thursday. And Thursday will be a challenge, too. Now, tonight, I guess it is on 94.1, the Tar Heels and St. Bonaventure.
Yeah.
6 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. So right now they're doing their pregame from there, and be a 6 o'clock tip from Fort Myers for St. Bonaventure and Carolina, both undefeated coming in. Be a big win for the Bonnies.
Go Bonnies, baby.
Go Bonnies, and then the Pirates will play them 12:30 on
12 o'clock.
I'm sorry, 12 noon on Thursday. 12 noon on Saturday. It'll be 11:30 airtime, and that game will also air on FS1. A lot of basketball being played on Thursday. I like it.
Yeah, there is. I'm okay with it.
Like a lot of high-level basketball.
Yeah, Dom might not be as happy because he's working, but I'm good with it. I was talking to Gene Britt, one of our great salesmen here at IBX Media today, about we got to get the two TVs set up Thursday because the NFL slate is great and there's so many high-level college basketball games. Duke and Arkansas. Anytime you get Coach Cal playing against the Blue Devils, that's big. You mentioned Michigan State's playing Carolina, so there you go. You got Tom Izzo against the boys that wear baby blue, and there's a handful of other games I just can't think of. Yeah, it is. So. It's going to be fun.
Always anonymous text line, Cam Newton or Nick Saban, referring to the hat. No, it's just a hat. Neither one. Our friend Ricky Cobb from Super 70 Sports tweeting out over the weekend that Cam Newton looked like a rival chocolatier to Willy Wonka with his particular outfit.
I can see that.
The games. Yes, a rival chocolatier. Let's see. Pilk, anything from look, I think the frustrating part right now is the result today wasn't unexpected. Mike Swartz hit it on the head. They would have had to have played an outstanding game to have been in a position to win the game. That's how good Michigan State is. Michigan State is a top 10 program, top 10 team this year, top all time. I mean, they're a blue blood. Michigan State, like it or not, a blue blood in the sport. All at the doorstep of Tom Izzo and his work, which has been unbelievable and unrivaled. So, the frustrating thing is you have not succeeded against teams, with the exception of Michigan State and maybe UNCW, who have less resources than you. You've either lost or not looked good against those teams. Richmond may be in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, those A-10 teams, man, they're interesting. They're one of the few conferences that I think do put the more resources into basketball than they do football. It's just because Yeah, well, a lot of them don't, and one of them, the ones who have FCS football, it's just not a great FCS league, and that's not really where they make their money. They have great TV basketball contracts, and they play a lot of games on the CBS Sports Network as well as some other things. And you got to think back. What was it, Patrick? What, a dozen years ago, there were, I think, 6 or 7 teams from the Atlantic 10 in the NCAA tournament. Now, some teams such as Creighton have left the conference since then. They were a 3 seed that year. It was Doug McDermott's senior year. But this is a basketball conference. So that one maybe you can get a little more behind, but you're right. Some of these other games, a little frustrating.
Well, Wilmington, and you can yada yada the Super Bowl or whatever, but I mean, that's their sport. They put the money into basketball, as does a place like VCU. It's varying degrees, but all things being equal. And so you've not succeeded against teams that have lesser resources, or at least even today you were outmatched in not only talent but also resources. So you can't be mad at today. You just got to be able to look and say, all right, what are the positives that you can pull from this?
PJ, Kentucky's got a lot of banners, and they were outmatched when they played Michigan State. So, like you said, you can't be matched.
State has beat Arkansas earlier this year.
Yeah, they beat
Kentucky. Where was it? Up in Chicago or Madison Square Garden?
MSG, yeah. And the thing is, one thing, Patrick, that I do want to take away from this, and Darren and I were talking about this in the broadcast. Yeah, 24 is a big number, but it did feel like there was a little more fluidity within the offense. I didn't feel like the ball was sticking to guys' hands quite as much compared to those last few games. And now it could have even been better had you been playing a more comparable opponent to yourself. So how do they build on that in a game where, St. Bonaventure, they are a good team, but you're not.
I think today you couldn't. There wasn't a whole lot of going one-on-one today.
No,
you had to move the ball to edit. So I think it was drilled in. Guys, the ball can't stick today. Now
I would like to see that continue. We don't have a lot of times. We don't have a lot of one-on-one guys though.
Well, don't tell them that. But you've got to you got to move the ball. It's got to be. We got to run the 8th grade offense. It's got to be a handful of passes before a shot. I mean, I think that will help. And we saw where even though you did turn it over and you shot 30-some%, at least it was the ball moved a little bit today. So I hear what you're saying there. But look, kind of like the UTSA in football, flush it and come out Thursday and try to win against a very representative A-10 team. So, all right, we'll do our Harrell Huddle coming up next. Blake Harrell will join us. We'll talk about the matchup with Florida Atlantic and coach's thoughts as we go into the final week of the regular season. Game 12 for the Pirates against the Owls in Boca Raton. That'll be a noon kick, and our coverage will begin at 9 a.m. on Saturday here on 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and the IBX Media app. All right, stay tuned. When we come back, we'll have our Harrell Huddle for Healthwise Pharmacy today.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wade, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. You get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
I listen on my Apple Watch.
Smart speaker.
Listen while you work.
I listen everywhere. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
The Harrell Huddle here as it's the final game of the regular season. The Pirates will be playing Florida Atlantic on Boca Raton. Healthwise Pharmacy bringing us our visit with Coach Harrell, who's good enough to join us here on this final week of the regular season. Coach, you know, a lot of times on this segment, we'll spend some moments with you reliving the last game. The less said about that, the better. Let's move on to Florida Atlantic. But, you know, it was interesting in talking to some of the players the other night and yourself as well about, let's not let a bad outing spoil what has otherwise been an outstanding season and a great opportunity to finish on a high note.
There's no question. Obviously, a disappointing night the other night, and didn't play and didn't do things we needed to do to play well and win a ball game. And obviously, UTSA did, and hats off to them. But we got to look out the windshield and go finish this thing off the right way with FAU and go finish a season that's been a really good season for the Pirates and something to be proud of and something that we can build upon for the future.
You know, it's the time of year, too, where nicks and bruises. I mean, it's 14 weeks, 12th game coming up. So I asked you a little bit about this on Monday night, but, you know, a different audience here, and I think it'd be good to just kind of illustrate that. I mean, you've been pretty decent on the health front this year, a couple things here and there, but how were you guys coming out of that game, and how do you feel like you are, generally speaking, going into the finale on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You're in week 14, game 12. You're going to have some bumps and bruises, those kind of things, and we certainly have those. And we got a little bit of an illness going around right now, a little bit of the, flu probably just kind of passing around for the last week or so. So that's working our way through the roster and just trying to push through both those things. Like I told the players today, like it's really about toughness at this point in the season. Whose roster is tougher than any other roster? Who can push through the bumps and the bruises and not feeling 100% and go out there and play as hard as they can play, because that's what happens this time of year. Both rosters, both teams, and across the country are going to be beat up and not feeling 100%. So who can push through and persevere and play their best?
We're visiting with Blake Harrell here, the head coach of the East Carolina Pirates, on our Healthwise Pharmacy Harrell Huddle. Coach, you're facing Caden Veldkamp, a guy who has thrown for over 3,400 yards on the season, and they do some interesting stuff. They have the RPO game, but when they do drop back and traditionally throw the football, it's more of an air raid style offense, which is a lot different than the quick hitters that you see in the RPO game. Is this something that they kind of tip their hand pre-snap, or is this all post-snap reads from your defense with just the differing styles in their play calling?
Yeah, and I mean, Zach Kidley, their head coach, was the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech and Western Kentucky before that, and has some Texas Tech ties as a grad assistant, student assistant there. So it's kind of the Mike Leach air raid offense that you'll see. So there is some RPO-based stuff out of there that they have an option to obviously hand the ball off in the run game or throw the ball. Some of that's pre-snap, some of that is post-snap reads, and then certainly the drop-back pass game, the wide crossover curl, that everybody's made famous in that offense.
Coach, when you look at their defensive side of the ball, this kind of comes back to the American that you first came into, where it seemed like everybody had these high-powered offenses and the defenses were kind of a little behind. You did a great job, obviously, building a great Pirate defense, and the defenses, I think, all around the country, or all around the conference, have improved. But what is it about them defensively that they're not doing quite right now, where do you guys feel like you can exploit them on Saturday?
You look at them on film, they're, 4 down, they'll play middle of the field slows, they'll play some bracket coverage, some odd front from time to time. I think they do a really good job. I mean, they got some guys that can run on that side of the ball, run and hit. I think linebacker number 6 leads them in tackles. I think the D tackle, C.J. Doggett, number 1, leads them in sacks. So I think it's a very good defense. Maybe the numbers they put up on the year aren't as good, but it also comes to playing a lot of snaps defensively. I mean, when you're playing as many snaps as anybody in the country, it gives the other team more opportunities to have a chance to make a play. So I think it goes hand in hand with what type of offense they're playing as well.
We're talking Pirate football with Coach Harrell. I want to go back to their offense. You talked about their quarterback and mentioned Western Kentucky. Somebody coming from there, Eaton Messer, who is he's not the leading receiver in the nation. He's one of them. Certainly the conference's leading receiver, if I'm not mistaken. But he comes in with a ton of accolades on the year. What about him and the receiving corps, Coach, has stood out to you on film when we talk about FAU?
Yeah, I think he's got over 90 catches. I think he's, like you said, first or second in the country in receptions. Just does a really good job catching the football and making the guy miss, and is almost like a running back out there. I would compare him very similar to Brock Spalding, that type of player. I mean, just a guy that, he has 90 catches. I think the next guy's around 50 catches. So the targets that he has, I think he's about 130 targets. The next guy's down to about 80 targets. So he's almost, 2/3 of the targets out there. So we definitely got to know where he's at. And I think the receiving core overall, they got some guys that can run. I wouldn't say the length is probably their upside, but I definitely think they got guys that can run and move in space and make you miss. And, you'll see Zach Kitley go for it on all 4th downs all over the field. I think he went for it on 4th and 1 last week from his own 10-yard line. And that's just because he feels good about those receivers and putting the ball out there in space.
Coach, let's talk about one of your receivers, Anthony Smith, 100 catches now as a Pirate, and has really flourished the last couple of years. What probably earlier in his career was a lot of promise has been realized at his time in Greenville, and he has played himself not only into being productive for East Carolina, but he's also played himself into a situation where he very likely will be able to find himself having an opportunity to play on Sundays.
I think so. I think Anthony has a chance to go over 1,000 yards this year, and as you mentioned already, over 50 catches, and just done a really good job of stretching the field for us, and just becoming a complete receiver. I think that's one thing about him that I think he's done a really good job of throughout his career, is catching the football and becoming a complete receiver. And that's a shout out to his work ethic and Coach Roberts and the offensive, what they've utilized him as. And, I'm excited about him this Saturday and in the bowl game, and then what's next for him, in the future. So, and he deserves everything that's coming his way, and I definitely think there's an opportunity for him in the future.
Coach, speaking of the offensive side of the football, it's kind of become London Montgomery and Marlon Gunn have been the premier 2 backs. And now this running back room has shrank. Obviously, I know you want to get as many guys on the field as you can, but it does seem like there's a little more continuity, and the guys are able to stay maybe a little more in a rhythm. And, we talked to Marlon last night, or Patrick did on the coach's show, just one of the leaders on this team. You're seeing him get in the game and do a multitude of things. Can you just talk about this running back room and how you feel like they've evolved here as we get into the late stages of November?
Yeah, I just think the more carries they get better and better throughout the season. Okay. Just whether it's Marlon or whether it's TJ or London, they've gotten better and better throughout the season, and just kind of really proud of those guys, the way they've hit it. And I think the offensive line, the perimeter blocking, all that's went together. So just how they develop and how they move forward just helps our football team. The fact that we can run the football and throw the ball down the field.
And, Coach, we're going to go over the other side of the football, now. Rashid Reason's been out for a while, and Jordy Lowry's had to step up. He had some struggles maybe earlier those first couple weeks, maybe not living up to the expectations, but it really seems like he's coming into his game. It seems like there's some other guys. You think of a guy like Tamir Brown had the pick six a couple weeks ago, and just in Rashid's absence, can you just talk about the guys who have really stepped up, not only as performing between the white lines, but in that leadership roles, because Rashid was looked to and so highly sought after by his teammates for the human being that he is and the young man that he is, not just a player between the white lines.
Yeah, I think we're missing Rashid, obviously, but hopefully get him back for the bowl game. I think Tamir Brown is the senior who's done a really good job out there. Obviously had the pick six a few weeks back. And just his consistency out there and toughness and the way he's played the game all season long has been pretty good. And then you mentioned Jordy Lowry continues to kind of come along and make some plays. And I think when we moved Mike Wright over in that room, I think it just brought some leadership into that room, a guy that's, inspiring and just kind of a work guy and makes everybody around him better, and certainly doing that. You don't necessarily see it show up, between the lines on defense, but just what he brings our team and brings to that corner room is pretty special.
All right, Coach Blake Harrell with us here. Coach, I'll let Pilk wrap it up in a second, but I want to talk a little bit about the offensive line as well. I know we're ping-ponging back and forth on both sides of the ball, but how do you feel like that group has performed for you here down the stretch run of the season? I think they've come together really marvelously, and even though there has been some rotation in the backfield, I think it has. There's a real dynamic presence with the way you run the football, and a lot of that starts up front.
It does. I mean, it all goes together, and I think those guys have been consistent up front. Kojo Opoku is, I think been the most consistent up front. Just kind of comes off the ball, plays a great effort, and he's our right guard. Does a really good job there. Left tackle Jamari McCrimmon has done a great job throughout the season, and just definitely been an impact there. And then Cooper, right tackle, rotating with Bryce Weaver, has been, they've came along and gotten better and better and better throughout the season. Darius Bell has been the center. I didn't know back in the spring if he would be there. I think Carson Jones was going to be there in the spring, and Carson had a knee injury in the spring that put him out for the season. So Darius did a great job of stepping up. And then at left guard, Panda Askew and Kyle Long have done a great job kind of rotating. So you got about 5 or 6, 7 guys that kind of in rotation there that can continually kind of go out there and lay down the line for the Pirates every single week and get better and better. So proud of that group.
Yeah, they have done a great job, and I think there's not many college football offensive line coaches that say they can trust 7 guys out there on the field. So that's pretty special. But Coach, what's kind of the key to a victory for the Pirates this Saturday as they head down to Boca Raton to take on the Owls?
Starting fast down in the Sunshine State. I think it's getting off to a great start. I think when we score first, we're 7-0, and we got to get touchdowns in the first half. The games we've not fared well as games where we didn't score a touchdown in the first half. So we got to find a way to get the ball in the end zone early and then just go finish. Go finish with great effort throughout the game and go finish this thing off the right way this season. Conference play and all those things that, we know exist out there. 6 wins in the conference, most conference wins in American. In school history, 8 wins. I think that's only been happened 5 times maybe in school history or so. So a lot of things to play for, but it starts with starting fast.
Well, we thank you for your time, Coach, and happy Thanksgiving, and I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
There he goes, Blake Harrell Huddle for Healthwise Pharmacy. Okay, Pilk, looking forward to Saturday, and you and Joey Football will be on the air at 9 a.m. on air, 94.3 The Game, online, 94.3thegame.com, the IDX Media app. All right, we'll hit a break. Do a little top 5 at 5. Back after the show here on the PJ Show Tuesday edition before Thanksgiving.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you. Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Well, #1, PJ, we hit it on in our opening segment. Tough loss for the Pirates today to the Michigan State Spartans. After the game, Coach was asked about some of the guys who got banged up and just how hard they wanted to go and at the end of games. And, he praised his guys for wanting to fight till the end.
They're hurting right now in terms of, man, they want to be better. And both those guys, Coach, I'm good. I can, they want to keep competing. And it has nothing to do with other than competing. We knew at that point in the game the score wasn't going to change drastically as far as the outcome, but guys want to compete. But we're thin right now. We're very thin.
Mike Houston had a 2-10 season.
Yeah.
And the team turned the back. He lost the locker room during the 2-10. Didn't have a quarterback. That's kind of his own doing, and Donnie Kirkpatrick's own doing. But, I think it speaks highly that these guys, in a situation where they knew they probably were not going to, at that juncture in the game, unless something just went crazy, win the game, but wanted to get back in there. That does speak. And this is, look, a bunch of really good citizens on this team, all really good respect. I mean, even in those preseason events, the kickoff dinner and all that, to a man, everybody, every person that went would tell you, how respectful they were. At practice, if you go to the practice, they'll come up and thank you for going to the practice and watching the practice afterwards. So, hopefully this team sticks together. I think getting Jay Woodard healthy will help. There's nothing you can do about LeBeau. There's nothing you can do about the kid from Massachusetts. I mean, they're out.
Yeah.
But you just cannot afford other injuries, too, at this point. That's a tough deal. But, at some point, too, you got to start to see some progress. Now, how much – just, again, tough to tell how much progress you could take out of today because you were just so overmatched.
It's true. And, you mentioned the guys that they do. And one thing I know some people are not real happy with maybe the way the roster is constructed, but Coach Swartz, he does go out there and he gets high character guys. And when you're a defensive-minded coach, that's something you do. You get guys who want to be out there, want to be on the floor and play hard. And I'll tell you, these guys play, they play for 40 minutes, man. And they're tough. They're mentally tough as well as physically tough. So got a lot of respect for these guys. It's just, like I said, going to have to make some progress, and hopefully we see some on Thursday. Number two. PJ, I can't believe you've gone 40 minutes without bringing it up to me. It didn't take you long on Talk of the Town this morning. It was all 49ers last night over the Carolina Panthers. After the game, Dave Canales talked about how they have to grow from their mistakes.
So we have to be able to take the lessons from this and move on quickly. We have everything still right in front of us. We have to understand that. But the only way we're going to make it happen is by playing good, fundamental football.
Before PJ says his piece, just a couple notes, post-game notes. The NFL has suspended Travion Merrick for the low blow that he had on Jawan Jennings. We'll just word it that way. They lost their safety, Corey Thornton, for the season with a broken leg. Also, Horn and Shrellis remain in concussion protocol, and the Panthers have signed former first-round pick Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker, as he was a free agent to help with some of these injuries.
Who drafted Simmons?
The Cardinals did. One pick after the Panthers drafted Derek Brown, and I will say I'm happy that they know more than I do because I wanted Isaiah Simmons.
Well, now you got him.
I do, yeah. At Clemson.
My problem last night was not with certainly the way the defense played. My problem last night was you have these two productive running backs, and you only, what do they, combined 9 carries between?
Yeah, 6 and 3.
Yeah. And less than 15 carries for the night for the whole team. And as you said this morning, some of that was little itty-bitty Bryce scrambling.
Yeah, they had 13 carries, and all 4 Bryce plays were called pass plays. There was no any sort of design in there. Not your design runs for Bryce Young anyways.
No, they weren't design runs for Bryce. Bryce was just trying to get the hell out of there. So that to me is because what has been the thing they have done when they have won this year? What have they done, Philip, the ref Pilkington? What have your Carolina Panthers done when they've won this year?
In the words of the great Joey Football, they've ran the dang ball.
Didn't do it last night.
After I came on the show and called for them to run it. Now, when you lose time possession, almost 38 to just over 22, that does become tough. Defense played solid, but those 2 long drives.
Despite the miscues and the interception. I mean, San Francisco was not great last night by any stretch.
No, what really hurt the time possession was the first drive of the game and the first drive that San Francisco had in the second half. So that was a little frustrating for defense. But overall, the defense played pretty good, gave you a lot of opportunities, and you hosed it. I mean, you get the ball on the 18, you drive down to the 2, and you throw an interception on 1st and goal. Throw that crap on the 4th row to some cute girl in the stands and live to see another down.
What is the thing that is the common thread between those those lengthy drives? What's the common thread?
Some guy named McCaffrey who kept catching the ball out of the backfield.
Well, no, yeah, that helped too, yes, but they were scripted out. They had the first drive is scripted out, and sometimes you'll find, okay, based on the success of the first half, we're going to script out this first X amount of plays for the second half.
True. And they were very versatile. You know, when you mention the script, when you run a script, Patrick, you do a lot of different things because you want to see how the game is going to come to you.
Sure.
And none of those plays looked alike.
As Doug Martin explained on this show, you have a menu of things on the script.
And we're
running this, but we can run this if we're in this situation.
Yes. And, Patrick, to your point there, they did a lot of different things on those scripted drives. They were not vanilla at all in the way they did things. They ran, run plays with pre-snap motion. They ran just true inside zone. They ran different types of pass plays, man beaters, zone beaters, different route combinations. And it, like I said, it worked for them, and they chug-a-lugged right down the field twice.
Can we get Doug Martin back on the show next week? I don't think Elon, I'm not throwing shade here, I don't think they made the playoff.
I looked at the bracket the other day. I don't remember seeing them. So,
right.
Yeah.
So we need to get Doug Martin next week.
Let's do it.
A triumphant return.
And he can, we can talk to him about his season, but also, his son is on staff at Wake, and boy, what a season they're having over there.
Well, his son
in
got
Winston-Salem.
a job at Virginia. His son left because, they had the coaching change.
Yeah.
So everybody was kind of left in limbo. And his son retained the position, but he took a job a few weeks into the season up at Virginia. So they have had his son has had a heck of a season.
It's even had a better season than I thought. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Three, something that actually broke. It was not originally on my 5-5. It happened about 2 minutes before the show came out. The North Texas coach, and his name is, because I didn't have time to write this down. Sorry. Technology is bad. Eric Morris has been hired by Oklahoma State. Big shoes to fill, PJ. Filling the shoes of Mike Gundy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, not in recent years. Gundy is one of the guys that has not succeeded in the era of NIL and rev share and portal and all that, because he's not adapted. You see the guys who've not adapted are not doing real well right now.
I think it might be something with orange schools. Things aren't going good in Clemson. Texas is having, Florida's having issues. Texas is underperforming. Syracuse isn't worth the darn. I think it's the curse of orange. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, could be. But this is what I wonder out of this, because right now it feels like we're going to have Tulane and North Texas in the championship game.
Yep.
And I know the AD put out a statement saying that Morris is committed to coach them through the rest of the season, ever how long that is. So conceivably, if they got the 12th spot, which they would have to win this week, win the American championship, and then, play in the play. So however that plays out. But I wonder now, does this strike a blow to that? I think it does. Because his focus is not going to be on what the Mean Green are doing entirely. It's not going to be there entirely. I'm not saying his focus, but it's divided. And that to me is not a real successful recipe. To me, it's not.
No, I'm with you, PJ. And, it kind of comes down to the next man up. So the coordinators, right? How focused are the coordinators? Are they thinking about, hey, am I going to move on? Am I going to go look for another job? Yeah. Now, if the coordinators are 100% bought in, which they won't be because of what we just mentioned, then I think you maybe can overcome the head coaching thing this late in the season. But the coordinators are not going to be. And then in the era of the portal, what are the coaches thinking or the players thinking? Yeah.
Right. It's a trickle down. If the coach isn't bought in after he's been preaching buy-in, why should we be bought in at this point?
Yeah. Not a good Denton, seriously. Texas, not as good of a place as it was to be just about an hour ago, Patrick.
Well, and look, I think Oklahoma State, they're in a tough neighborhood now. Not that they weren't before, but I mean they're in a tough neighborhood, and they're dead freaking last in that tough neighborhood.
So that big hill to climb when you've got BYU and Texas Tech hanging out at the top of it.
Right. It'd be interesting to see what that does to this weekend, and then ultimately what happens in the American. And does this now maybe could this influence one of these other teams that maybe winds up in the American championship game? As far as they maybe did, because I mean, a lot of people have not either. It's going to be Tulane or North Texas, is what all the computer rankings are and projections and prognosticators are saying. Does this open the door for Navy any at all?
It might, and what are you thinking of your Temple right now, PJ? You're 5-6. You haven't been to a bowl game in a few years. You're not a bad football team. You're going on the road. It's already tough because it's Thanksgiving weekend. The students have really shown out of late. But they're going to be a little depleted just with it being Thanksgiving. And then you throw this on top of it, man, if I'm Casey Keeler, I'm getting my boys ready to go. Evan Simon, last ever college football game? You should, but
regardless, they should anyway because they're playing for the postseason.
4.
Number 4, first big trade of the Major League Baseball offseason. The Red Sox are receiving Sonny Gray and $20 million from the St. Louis Cardinals to help cover some of his $31 million salary for pitcher Richard Fitz. Also, prospecting pitcher Brandon Clark, or pitching prospect Brandon Clark, and another player to be named later.
What was the trade the other day? You said this is the first big trade. I mean, there was a trade the other day.
No, that was the first big free agent signing. This is the first big trade.
There was a trade.
Was there?
The Mets and the Rangers went in on a trade the other day.
Oh, maybe they did. Baseball's the last thing I went on. Sorry.
No, you know what you're proclaiming? Why you're proclaiming this the first big
it's the Sox, baby.
In your world, it's the first big trade.
Yep.
In your world, it's the first big trade. So how do you feel about the first big trade there, Mr. Red Sox?
Letting go of Brandon Clark is interesting. He's one of the best pitching prospects in the Sox farm system. But they looked at the end of the day last year. Part of the issue was the starting rotation. You bring in a guy who's been to 3 All-Star games. Yeah, he's 36, so he's a short-term fix. But if your goal is to win it next year, he can definitely be a piece of that. And I think Boston's got an outside chance.
Doesn't that lead you to believe they're in the win now mode next year?
Craig Broslow's ready to go.
All right.
5.
You should like that. You should be happy about that.
I feel good. Number 5, PJ, we got to keep talking about what we talked about yesterday. There's all these great college basketball games going on. Unfortunately, the darn Wolf Puppies just beat Boise State, but what do you expect? Boise State lost to Hawaii Pacific a couple weeks ago. Our guy, Rini Angolia's UMass Minutemen are playing a Tuesday afternoon action game right now that started at 4:30. Baby, this is the time of year we live for. Even though his Minutemen are down to our guy Jim Zoki's Falcons of Bowling Green 28-7. We got all these other tournaments going on, college basketball. You been watching any basketball today? Obviously, the Pirates played, but did you dual screen it today, PJ?
I'll watch some tonight. I don't dual screen. That's way too much technology for me. I'll do maybe the 4 inside the YouTube thing.
Oh, that's too hard for me to watch. I like the 2 different TVs.
Yeah. My bad eyes, I do that. By the way, the Always Anonymous text line. It was Brandon Nimmo. Is it Nimmo or Nemo? Brandon Nimmo. For Marcus Seaman.
Oh, it's Marcus Simeon. Yeah, that's right.
Simeon. The Always Anonymous texter did not like it as a Mets fan.
There we go. Is the Always Anonymous texter a former producer of this show who's a Mets fan?
I can't say that's the Always Anonymous text line, meaning you can text into the show and you remain anonymous.
Yeah, but if you're a former employee, we just throw you under the bus. I always say, and Ben's texting me.
No. Don't be like Henry Hinton and say call it the Always Anonymous text line, and then say who texted you.
That's
or
true.
Give your phone number, your personal cell phone out on the air. Don't do that.
He did do that.
Basketball tonight. Give me some games tonight. Give me something to watch tonight, Bill.
It's
Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's Tuesday. We got Maui going on right now. That's big as always. A couple of the big games. Vegas. The big one is at 6:00. So about to start. It is Tennessee and Houston. That's the one I really am looking forward to today.
That is sexy, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
So that's kind of the big one. Other than that, there's a lot of good Power 5 matchups going on throughout the night. Kansas State, Indiana, Washington State, Arizona State, Michigan, Auburn.
Indiana.
Yeah,
I like Indiana. I really like what I've seen from Indiana so far. All right. We're going to say goodbye to you. Pilk and I will be back tomorrow on Talk of the Town. And we also will be back here tomorrow. Fresh edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. Ron Cook, the Farmville Central coach, and the FC, the former chancellor's Thanksgiving story. We'll relive it.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.